Live next to Washington, where unless something gives soon, the U.S. government will run out of money and shut down. Let's bring in Chris Reyes on the story. The deadline, 1 second past midnight on Sunday, Chris. So the timeline for this is exceptionally tight. What needs to happen between now and then to get a deal done here?
Heather, you can believe that there are countdown clocks running all over this country anticipating this shutdown. Lawmakers have until Saturday night to figure this all out, but that is easier said than done, as you can imagine, given the deep partisan divides in Congress, a very slim majority that the Republicans hold in the House. Some hard-right conservatives have said that they're not budging on votes without some big spending cuts and more border security measures. Now, overnight, Heather, lawmakers did pass a number of bills, including one that would continue funding Ukraine, but none that would release the money that the government needs to keep running. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy seemed optimistic, but at the same time realistic about the fighting between Democrats and Republicans. Have a listen.
The members don't want to have it all. Then members say they only want to vote for individual bills, but they hold me up all summer and won't let me bring individual bills up. Then they say they won't vote for a stopgap measure that keeps government open. So I don't know, where do you go in that scenario? At the end of the day, we'll get it all.
So Heather, there's, as McCarthy there sort of inferred, there's a last-ditch effort to try to pass this stopgap bill that would fund the government till the end of October. But McCarthy hasn't secured the votes to guarantee that he can pass that bill. And the Senate has passed a similar bill. House Democrats say that they'll support that if no deal is hatched by Saturday night. Well, then, the U.S. government shuts down on Monday.
This is becoming increasingly part of the political playbook in Washington. We were talking about this threat not that long ago, 3 under the Trump administration alone, Chris. Take us through who is affected by this.
That's right. Well, to start, non-essential federal workers would stop working and essentially not get paid. The last time that there was a government shutdown, Heather, was back in 2018. 350,000 employees were furloughed. Another 420,000 were required to keep working, but without pay. And that's because essential workers need to be on the job. We're talking law enforcement, military, traffic control, for example. As for the average American, Social Security and Medicare checks would continue to go out, but some administrative services would likely stop. Food stamps benefits would also likely be affected. And then, you think about the national parks, federal-run museums, those services will likely be limited. As you can imagine, this is a very stressful time for all those who are affected. Have a listen to one person's take on the impact on their mental health.
It can be very draining on any human being, not just officers or employees for the federal agency. To not know when you'll be able to feed your family or provide the next meal or be able to provide education and child care for your children, if that is your situation, is very frustrating.
And of course, there is that added concern that this could affect an already stressed economy. As you can imagine, many here in the U.S. crossing their fingers for a photo finish to reach a deal.
Chris Reyes, thank you. Washington's story is Chris's subject today, and we'll be back to you, Chris, for updates through this day. Our Chris Reyes there with the countdown toward the shutdown.